All righty, let's get this guy going here. All right, welcome in everybody. It is Tuesday morning, March 22nd. April's right around the corner. Spring, what, a third day of spring here? Not feeling like it up here. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing well. Is spring already? I thought it was like the 21st, so it was yesterday. I don't know. I can't keep track. Feels like
Yeah.
starting to feel like spring though. After we had 25 degrees and 25-mile-an-hour winds last week, it's starting to feel pretty good. But yeah, it's been a busy week. It's been a busy 2 weeks. That's what it's been 2 weeks since Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, and it feels like 6 months ago.
It
That's
does.
how crazy it's been. And I'm like, I haven't covered the free NFL free agency period like this before. I've done, signing day and recruiting. I'm like, is it always this nuts? Because this feels like, Bonneville Salt Flats here.
Yeah, I don't think everybody keeps saying this has been like the craziest offseason ever with the quarterback movement. And there's still so many guys in free agency, too. Like the middle class has shriveled up. And a lot of these guys are still out there. So hopefully Teron Armstead getting signed today sounds like the Dolphins will kind of accelerate the market as well. He's kind of like the last massive ticket free agent out there. But we'll see. So yeah, guys, welcome in. It's the Broncos for Breakfast. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy. I'm at Nick Kendall MHH. We're live Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday mornings. I'm going to have to go short today because I have a work obligation. So just giving you guys a heads up, Nick didn't disappear. They didn't get the hook on me halfway through the show. I have something at 7, so got to keep going here. Yeah, Scott said, you know what, Nick?
Taking over.
Enough. We don't need you anymore. Your Drew Lock stuff, we're done. You can't have that. No, Sunny Days coming in. Morning to you, Sunny Days. Good to see you. Luke with the support. Thank you so much, Luke. Luke says, good morning, Nick and Scott. It's not much. It is much. It actually, the gesture is really nice, Luke. We appreciate that. But I wanted to thank you guys. You are the best. I love watching the show. Also, Scott, you're a legend for doing 3 shows yesterday. Much love. Go Broncos. 4 shows. Yeah, Scott's a
I guest
maniac.
potted with one of our Broncos family members here, Broncos Country, with David Crumlow on the Sports Crunch. So I did that one yesterday, and I was when I was on with Zach last night, I was going through the cough drops. So, but as Jeremy said, hope that voice is rested up. You know what? I'm rested up. Monday feels like hangover days when you're my age and you're spending 40 hours on soccer, baseball, and softball fields. So I'm gas. I got gas back in the tank. I'm ready to go.
There you go. There you go. And you get a break tonight with Carl and I on the show. So that's good. Mile High Truth coming in. I don't like the Browning to edge. You're telling me there isn't another available edge in the draft or free agency that would be better edge than our previous middle linebacker. Yeah, this one actually caught me a little bit off guard because I thought Barron Browning looked pretty good there at edge last season, and I did like him when the Broncos drafted him because of the freak athleticism. And at the Senior Bowl 2 years ago, he had some really good edge reps. I just never thought it was likely the full-time path for him, and I thought if he failed at that second level linebacker, then you can move him to edge. I don't think he failed at that level. So I'm curious what your thoughts are of this move.
Oh, I start doing this. I watched Moneyball every once in a while. When the scouts are talking, Brad Pitt's character just goes blah blah blah. You're just making noise. That's how I take these things in the spring. It's just talk. Until I see it happen, it hasn't happened. So why might it happen? Because you've got a kid with a similar athletic profile to Micah Parsons. Hey, everybody's going to look for the next Micah Parsons. Well, wow, we've got one that's pretty darn close over here in Barron Browning. And 2, you brought in a couple guys that you think might be a little bit better against the run. 3, you want to push Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory to make sure that there's a kid on their butts that is going to make sure that is going to keep them honest. Listen, if y'all don't do it, Randy, you're on a $6 million salary cap bonus. Chubb, you're in the last year of your contract. Get it done. Or this kid will. And then it's cross-training. You've got injuries. You've got depth. If I know that if I feel good about him, okay, maybe am I going to stunt his growth? Or do I feel good about him at inside that I was like, listen, let's get him some reps over here. In case we've got an injury, then we know he can come in and do some things over here. Is he going to be the first guy? No. You're hoping not. But could he be a starter at inside linebacker? Yeah, he could. And you can always bring him back over when it comes to passing downs. The guys you brought in, Singleton, he's not a coverage guy. No. Josie Jewell is not a 4 wide coverage guy. If you're a 4 wide and 1 back, I'd rather have Browning in there getting the back out of the backfield or keeping an eye on the crossing routes. So right now for me it's blah blah blah. It's talk until I see it. It's just a consideration, and I'm not going to get too worked up about it.
Yeah. I got a little bit worked up about it just because it didn't make the most sense to me, but I think
Mhm.
this also speaks to you hit it on the head with Browning's versatility. I mean, he does have some good reps there at the edge position, and one of the big concerns with Browning coming out was the processing and the ability to key in the run game and come downhill and fill gaps. Just because that's a very instinctual game, and Browning was moved around a lot at Ohio State, and there were some questions about that. I thought he did well enough there last year, like I said, to move forward with him there. But who knows? Another area that makes me think about is the just Ejiro Evero and the value of the off-ball linebacker spot. There is no team out of the last 3 seasons that gave as much of a middle finger to the off-ball linebacker positions than the
You
Rams.
can't do
So
that when I've got a mouthful of
sorry.
coffee. I'm gonna make a mess of my big monitor and get this stuff, but yeah, we don't like this position. We like this guy. We don't like this position. So, Nick, what do we
Yep.
do?
So we're going to move him to
Mhm.
potentially a more valuable spot on money downs and get him and his athleticism coming downhill and affecting the passing game with the pass rush. And I get that extent. Again, I'm trying to find logic for the report. We'll see. Again, it could just be blah, blah, blah. But like, what are the possible
Right.
reasons this could make sense?
No, and
Um,
think
s-
about it. Like you just said, let's say you're rushing 4 on 3rd and 10, and your 4 are Draymond Jones, Randy Gregory, Bradley Chubb, and Barron Browning.
yeah.
You're not protecting the run. You don't care about that. Now,
Mhm.
try and keep up with the Panthers. I'm about to bad phrase. The fast guys.
Yeah.
That I'm about to send after you. The Chicago Bulls when they had Jordan and Pippen and Rodman. Phil Jackson used to call it releasing the Dobermans when they'd
Mhm.
go full court press, and I love 30 years later, I still love that phrase.
Yeah.
So, if I've got Randy Gregory, Bradley Chubb, and Barron Browning in a definite passing situation, it's releasing the Dobermans.
Yep.
The other part I think of on this, and good morning, Ethan. Thank you for being here. And he's saying good morning to Broncos country as well, because there are several other platforms that don't see just the chat. So thank you for showing that, Nick.
Mhm.
It's a recruiting pitch. Okay. So maybe I'm going after another inside linebacker. It doesn't make a ton of sense right now because you've already signed a couple guys here, Jewel and Singleton. But if I'm looking at, say, a Bobby Wagner, and Bobby
Mhm.
Wagner's agent saying, "Well, you've already got all these guys." No, 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 no. We're moving Baron Browning to edge. We're
Yeah.
moving him to edge. So we really need you. Yeah,
Yeah.
baloney. But that's the kind of talk again. That's the kind of thing that you do, and we're going to leak that out. Tell everybody we're moving Baron Browning to edge. I
Yeah.
had it happen in recruiting. We're going to move this guy to defensive line because we're after this guy's running back. Tell everybody we said that, and that's part of the recruiting pitch. There's so much BS and going and lying and bluffing that going on. It's like a poker game.
Yep.
So that's another possibility
Yep.
that is for a reason to get that information out there.
Yeah, and Dylan Von Ark coming in. Sup, Broncos country. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way in and subscribe if you haven't already on Facebook and YouTube. We'd appreciate that. Broncos Sunrise, formerly known the poster formerly known as Broncos first overall, formerly known as the Broncos 17-0. Good morning, best show, guys. Thank you so much for the $20 super Broncos Sunrise. It's great to see you. I'll let Scott peruse the comments here if there's any more ones you want to bring up. We got a lot of hello, C Beaston in the house, Brian Dunn's in the house, Jeremy Sean's in the house, Patrick Havner. It's all good to see all these people. Appreciate you guys. Let Scott keep doing it here. I also think this is so on Twitter, Mike Klis got a little bit of heat for, and I like Mike Klis. I know he's a little, sometimes people think him a little bit curmudgeon-y, but he's fine. Real quick, Lawrence Rivera, what's up, guys? You make me happy, but 20 minutes into work and it sucks. Haha. Oh well, happy Tuesday. I'm
Well,
glad
maybe
we
we
can
can
be here
kill an
for you.
hour for you.
Yeah, gosh, we can do that for you. Also, shout out to Mark Schrader coming in. Good morning, guys. Wild night here. I saw that you
Oh
had some
yeah, yeah, and
tornadoes.
he's coming in the star with stars to let us know. So I know you were talking about tornadoes in Texas. So hope everything was
Yeah,
okay. You're
yeah.
here. That's a good start.
Yes, I was gonna say, clap twice if you're okay. Thank you so much, Mark, and glad you're okay. I was thinking about you. I saw your post yesterday. Um, glad you're here. Alex Singleton. I think this is also Mike Klitz caught a little bit of flack on Twitter when he said, "Hey, Alex Singleton could be starting next to Jewel." And then the other's like, "Why would they do that? They're only paying him what, like $1 million. He's a special teams guy, depth, blah 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 blah." And now he's like, "Well, actually, Alex Singleton could be starting because Barron Browning's here." Yesterday was Alex Singleton's day in the sun. He had his press conference. I do think that the timing here could be somewhat of propping up Singleton coming in, giving him his day, saying that there is a path, making his previous comments look better and just moving forward with a little repercussion because, again, it is spring. Could just be one person, blah, blah, blah. The last thing here that it makes me think of is the Broncos are not super high on the edge market that's available right now. They're a little bit concerned about the price of that because they do need to bring in another edge. And I don't think they're the highest as the fans or the media are on Jonathan Cooper and Malik Reed, because I think you have 4 edge rushers right now. Two of them are pretty small bodied compared to the rest, not the best edge setting run defenders. So I think this also is kind of maybe an indictment or a boot in the what for Jonathan Cooper and more so specifically Malik Reed.
I think you're onto something there. I always say, watch what they do, not what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Watch what they do, not listen to what they say, because what they say is trying to set up their moves, which is chess. I mean, it's playing poker. It's bluffing. It's lying. It's whatever you want to call it. What do? They slapped if all else fails tag on Malik Reed. Not okay, we want to tender or anything like this, offer you a new contract. When we're handing out new contracts and we've got plenty of money to spend and he doesn't get one, watch what they do. So that gives you a pretty good idea where Malik Reed stands right now. So I think you're onto something there, Nick, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some more hellos here. Ashton coming in. Good morning. Trevor Sandel coming in. Great to see you. Scott Jeremy coming in. Scott, stay awake, eat, wake pod, eat pod, rest pod, sleep. He also pods in his sleep. His wife is very annoyed.
Take kids to soccer practice, baseball practice, softball practice. That's my 5 to 7:30 when you don't see me. That's my 5 to 7:30 in the evenings.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Poor man's poison. Good morning, Broncos country brothers and sisters. Brian Dunn says ban Lock Talk. Yeah, it's just just for fun. We've moved on. We're in a post Lock and Fangio area, and I've never been happier. KB82 coming in here. Kenneth Booker.
Kenneth Booker, appreciate you.
Who's going to be our kick returner and punt returner? KJ Boone. Both options. I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos bring in somebody in the draft or
He's
another
not on the roster yet.
Yeah. There is, Mike Boone is a solid kick returner, and
I'm thinking punt returner though. Kick returner to me doesn't matter anymore. They should just cancel the kickoffs. Let's start the ball from the 2025. Pick it. I don't care, and let's save some time. 75-80% of the balls are going as touchbacks. I don't really care who the kick returner is. Punt returner makes a difference though. Yep. And I don't think your punt returner is on the roster yet. I don't want KJ Hamler on there if I've got a guy who one of my bigger concerns is, can he stay healthy? I'm not putting him at punt returner. You need an expendable asset at punt returner because it's dangerous. And you need somebody that said, this is my only way in the league and I'm crazy enough to do it. That's who you want as a punt returner.
Yep. 100%. Different kind of people, but that's okay. We got Dave Glassman, Alberto Duran, Vin is in the house. Good to see you. Good to see Ashton also in the house. Derek Terrell, good morning from South Dakota. Hopefully it's going well there in South Dakota. Marcus coming in morning all the way from UK, all the way across the river, man. Good to see you, Marcus.
It's a big river, dude.
It's a ways away.
Across the river.
Oh God.
It's a pond is kind of a small body of water also, but yeah. I get it. And Jacob Foster, the silent one. I know we've got a silent one, but every time I'm gonna say Jacob Foster, the silent one. Jacob coming in with some big stars. You're awesome, and thank you so much for the support. And Mark coming in again with more big stars. So y'all are killing it for us this morning. So a little more energy. Maybe it's Thank you. Hey, Scott woke up. We'll reward him for it. Thank you. I wonder if they hire on some linebackers than edge in the draft.
This is definitely possible. Sorry to cut you off here, Scott, but this is a good point as well. Thank you, Mark, for the stars. Where the Broncos going to be picking 64, 75, 96, you have crazy odds better of drafting a starting caliber linebacker than you do the edge rusher. Mm-hmm. Edge rusher is the position historically where outside of quarterback, there's no position that is as first round making the starters for you versus the rest of the draft. Linebacker, the odds are actually linebacker is a crazy position where you're actually as likely to find a starting caliber linebacker day one as you are day two. It's not because linebackers are totally not super valuable. It's just the NFL is not good at evaluating linebackers because of what they're asked to do in the college level doesn't always translate super well to the NFL level. Like the amount of isolated coverage reps they have, the speed, the processing, you can hide linebackers better at the college level a lot of times than in the NFL level. And the teams have a hard time with that. I know everybody's obsessed with Ross right now because George Payton drafted high Ross players, which is relative athletic score. That's what it stands for. Another reason the linebacker is a position that tends to bust pretty often is that Ross does not correlate as highly to success in the NFL at the off-ball linebacker position as offensive tackle, as edge, as cornerback. So teams are using those what's the word I'm looking for? The
Intangibles. It's like a
intangible.
quarterback, Nick. It's
Yes.
being a middle linebacker. I've said at middle linebacker, an ounce of anticipation is worth a tenth in the 40 time.
Yep.
It's a tough man's spot. It's a
Mm-hmm.
thinking man's spot. And, it's not necessarily enough. You can get all that and wrap it into a 4-4 package at 250 pounds, then you're good to go. But you don't
Yep.
need that in order to have a competent plus good defense. So
Yep.
again, as Nick says, and I agree wholeheartedly, you can get 3 through 5. You can get good linebackers. You can get good inside linebackers there.
Especially in this class. We've said it on here many times, but I was on the talking about earlier. I was on a guesting show, and they asked me what's the next best, the deepest position in the class. Everybody talks about the edge spot, and I'm like, I absolutely adore the linebacker class, day 2. I think there are so many very interesting bodies there. Chad Muma, we've talked about multiple times on here. Christian Harris ran like a 4.4 40. Quay Walker might be the first Georgia linebacker drafted. Damone Clark looks like a NFL player, moves like an NFL player from LSU.
Brandon Smith drinking whatever it is in the water
Yeah.
at Penn State that has those guys just coming out as Hulks.
Yes.
6'3.5", 250 with a 4.52 and a 37.5-inch vertical.
Yeah, I love Darian Beavers also from Cincinnati, 6'4", 255. Man, that dude is a Hulk. Leo Chanel tested like an absolute freak. We haven't even mentioned Troy Anderson yet. It's a really, really good linebacker class. No reason, and it kind of hurts for Nakobe Dean and the other linebacker. God, I was doing so good at naming these ones. Devin Lloyd.
Devin Lloyd.
Yeah, hurts those guys because why would I take one in the first round when I can get really good players day 2? You have to love that individual player. There's an argument for that still, but really good class, and I think that's a great point, Mark. Greg coming in. Good morning, Broncos for breakfast. Albert Knopper's in the house. Good morning, y'all. Clayton Huron, good to see you. Morning, guys. Wyatt Horning. Wyatt, I'm still mourning our Hawkeyes. I told you, Scott, those Hawkeyes are going to lose round 1, and boy, howdy did they. Good morning, gents. Catching what I can before I got to bounce. Good to see you, Wyatt. It's great to see you. And I'll take my hands off here for a second. There you go. Our starting linebacker was a 4th round pick. Hashtag Hawkeyes. Yeah, no, historically speaking, you can find linebackers day 2. The highest paid linebackers right now, the best linebackers in the NFL, for my money, were day 2 picks. Darius Leonard and Fred Warner. 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick. You don't have to use first overall pick, top 10 at a linebacker.
Yeah, Foya Luakon's in there in that price range these days, and he was a 6th round pick, I believe, out of Yale. Again, smarts. So what was one of the reasons I'm so high on Nakobe Dean is because the kid's brilliant. He's brilliant on the field. He's brilliant off the field. And it's that type that makes everyone around him better too. He's going to make sure he's the one that you get those mic'd up moments where they're like, they're running here, they're running here, they're running here. Josie, fill that gap. And he's the one doing that. And Josie goes in and gets a tackle for loss. And everybody goes crazy. Josie Jewell, he's awesome. We love him. It's Nakobe Dean that made that play. So those are the reasons I like those guys. But what is that worth to you? Probably not a top 15 pick.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's and the other thing is, especially in this 2 high defense, there's more players in coverage, which means you don't have to ask your linebacker to run as sideline to sideline as often because you have another nickel player. You have another safety coming from depth that can come in and get those quick passes outside the line of scrimmage. Linebackers, probably more important to be in the right position and also making the tackle at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. Funneling and playing everything in front of you is really important.
And Klis says maybe the Eagles take Dean. I was like, where he fits is Seattle. What picks do they have? They have 40 and 41, one of those being Denver's.
Yeah.
40 and 41 for Nakobe Dean to the Eagles.
Makes
round
sense.
peg, round hole.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But that one makes a lot of sense for me.
And I have to get going here pretty soon because I have, again, work. So I'm going to be dipping out.
Don't leave me.
I know. I'm sorry, Scott. If you need me to help you on, I know Chad is gone this week. You need me to help you anytime this week, let me know. I do have dinner cooking responsibilities Wednesday, but I can move some things around.
No, we're good. We've got a lot of talked about on forging the Falcons.
That's true. God,
forging sounds like forging can also be building. It can also be like you forge a document. That's where I feel like forging the Falcons. That version of forging and the frauds that they are feels more apropos for tomorrow's show.
Scott, I'm sending out all my good energy because I keep hearing national pundits talk about wide receiver they have to take a wide receiver. They have to because they have
It's
nobody.
quarterback. No, they got to take a quarterback. They got to take a quarterback at 8. Jesus Christ. No. And again, it doesn't matter for
Yeah.
2022. It really doesn't. It's a dumpster fire of a franchise right now. It's just
Yeah.
they're burning down. Like, oh, we can start the rebuild. I'm like, no, you can't. There's still some walls that need to come down
A dead cap. Yeah.
before you can wipe it clean and start building back up. That's 2023.
Oh man. Fred Shell coming in. This name makes me curious about the question. So hello, Fred. Now I'm nervous. What about the chance of signing Brandon Shell?
Awesome. We love him.
Anybody with the
Thank you,
last
Mr.
name
Shell.
Shell, yeah, is great in my book. Just I don't even need to watch the tape. Shell is just A+ name and family lineage. No, Brandon Shell. He's had injury issues for Seattle. I think he's a better pass protector than a run blocker, from what I'd gathered. But which is interesting. You don't agree? I thought his run blocking was actually
You've seen him more than me. I'm looking at the high level and just, grades and other
yeah.
talk, and it seemed like he was more of a run blocking guy, but you've watched him more than I have for sure, being up in Seattle.
Yeah, I'm not going to totally disparage him. This is not that would not be an amazing signing, but it's one that offers you some competency there and
Mhm.
also offers you a chance to move Tom Compton to the position that I actually think is his best, which is the guard spot, where you're not going to have to worry as much about the freak length guys at the edge position that have given him some issue, or the speed guys, the guys who killed Tom Compton last year were Von Miller twice and Rashawn Gary, who I think top 8 edge rusher entering this season. People aren't talking enough about Rashawn Gary. But I would be okay with it for the right price. It gives you another body. And I'm very much of the opinion that depth across the offensive line is probably more valuable than just your starting 5. I'd rather have very good 8 offensive linemen that can play a bunch of different spots rather than, one great one, 2 okay ones, and then, 6 dumpster fires. I think the depth of the offensive line is really, really, really important.
Yeah, so Brandon Shell, again, you mentioned the word competency. It's like, there's an adult in the room, there's someone that you feel good about. And that's really what you need at right tackle. There's probably a scientific phrase for this, Nick, when, you say one thing that isn't quite true and therefore, the other thing then becomes true. Like, oh, well, we're going to get our without a right tackle, Russell Wilson's going to kill. Well, not necessarily. That's not quite how it works. You don't have to have a Pro Bowl right tackle to keep Russell Wilson from being killed. You could use some competency there, and some competency I think would also help your right guard position, and your right guard should improve dramatically this year.
Yep.
There should be a steep learning curve that Quinn Miners went through if he's your starter at right guard. And he's got we've talked about this before, but I read an article just talking about how hard the rookie learning curve is. These guys are just getting done with the combine. They're spending the next 6 weeks doing their pro days, getting to the draft, going through the pre-draft stuff. Then they show up at OTAs. Instead, season ends in January. Instead of February to June, they're getting ready for who the hell are they going to play for. They've got February, March, April. They got 4 extra months to get ready to be a Denver Bronco, to get ready to play right guard for the Denver Broncos. Not maybe I play center for the Minnesota Vikings, or I have to, shave off a little bit of this belly so people aren't discriminating against me or holding this bias. So he's going to have the right guard position will get better and the right tackle position will get better. Does that mean they're done? No.
Nope.
Again, if I see Abraham Lucas at 64 and we're on a live show, I'm going to be yelling, Abraham Lucas, he's there. Yeah. Take him. So
definitely
you're not done.
Possible.
That's what's nice about having available resources. You still have a chance to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Broncos aren't going to totally spend the rest of their cap. They need to roll a bit over. People keep talking about Russell Wilson's contract. That's a great point. You also have, who knows with Bradley Chubb, if he's so good this year, you might have to tag him to say, hey, you haven't been healthy. Do it again. Let's see you do it again. That's what's, maybe it's not super fair to have that tag after the 5th year option, but it is what it is. Also, Draymond Jones is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So you got some stuff. Speaking of which, Mark is giving me my exit cue. Coffee to go, Nick. Yeah, I got to fly. So we will see you guys. Scott's going to take over from here. But appreciate you guys. Yeah, I got a meeting in 4 minutes. I probably should run to the bathroom quick, but we appreciate you guys.
Too much information, Nick. Get out of here.
Yeah,
there's a chance Nick will join us depending on how long we go. So keep the questions coming, and we will. I'll take over from here. Nick, we'll see you shortly.
Yes, sounds good.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Oh no, it is. It is just me. It's just me and you. All right, now we can have some fun. Coffee to go from Mark. Yep, that was I showed that one not only because it was great stars from a great supporter, but it was also, Nick, get out of here. You got to go. You've been telling me for 24 hours that you got to go. For sure. So let me run through some of the chats here. I saw one from Kathy Schmitty Diddle Diddle talking about Barron Browning earlier. I won't show it right now. I just want to. It was is Barron Browning is he even big enough for the edge? So at his pro day last year, he came in at his pro day. He was, let's see, 6'3", I'll call it, because 6'2 3/4 and 245 pounds. An L cone, 3 cone of 6'7", shuttle of 4.22. That's not that far off from Micah Parsons. I didn't remember Barron Browning's being that good because I was still goo-goo-eyed over the Penn State guys, Adafa Owe's pro day, and his numbers are one of the best I've ever seen. And he actually was better than Micah Parsons, who everybody was talking about just being a freak of nature, who he was. And Owe was even better. So I didn't realize that Browning was that good. Is he big enough for edge? Yeah. As a third down rush guy, he absolutely is. I have a video, I'll have to dig it up somewhere, of him coming in and just almost killing a Michigan fullback at the Senior Bowl, coming in off the edge. He's not only big enough, he plays bigger than that too. So the move, you heard me say at the top of the show, so I'm not going to go here and wax poetic about Barron Browning at edge because, I want to see it. This isn't the time of year I believe anything I hear. Oh yeah, we're fully committed to Matt Ryan. Mm-hmm. Sure you are. Yeah, we had a great meeting with Carson Wentz. This was great. Looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I don't believe it. Watch what they do, not what they say. Yes, Barron Browning is good. Is big enough to be a third down guy, to come in and play and pass rush again. Release the Dobermans type. Let me go through here, and I want to make sure we're hitting some of our supers that are coming in. And I also like saying hello to our folks on Twitch, just to, tell your friends. He says number one, and I think that's a picture of Russ. Number one, Russell Wilson. So thanks, blank 916. Tell your friends on Twitch. See if we can't build that audience up just a little bit. And Elliot D coming in with the super chat. Appreciate you, Elliot. So any chance we move back into the first round and get a right tackle or edge rusher? Love the content, gents. Any chance? This is just not the draft that I want to package together picks and move up. We've said that before. Just because the depth in the second and third round of this draft, I'd rather have 2 players in the second than 1 in the first, at the back end of the first. I'd rather have 2 of those guys. Give me Boye Mafe at 40. If I'm going to move up, I might move up a little bit, a couple spots. But for me, I wouldn't necessarily go all the way up into the first round. Again, would I rather, if Bernard Raymond's there at 30, or I could get Abraham Lucas at 55, give me Lucas. I don't want to go. I don't see a big enough improvement there where I would rather have another shot at another player later on in the draft, even if it's a third round guy. So you could move up, and I'm not saying no. I've said from the get-go, this is a trade down draft. This feels to me like a trade down draft. Problem is everybody will want to trade down. I wouldn't do that. Jacob, the silent one, just continuing to be awesome. Never says anything. Just keep supporting the show. He's like a secret admirer almost, except his name's on it. The benefactor. So thank you so much, Jacob. Peter coming into with some stars. Let me see if I can find you, Pete. All right, let me see. It was 3 minutes ago. It's hard to do this sometimes, so I'm just going to read it because I can't find it. The hell with it, to quote from Major League, Bob Uecker. I can't find it. The hell with it. Mine out there pick, Browning to get more sacks than Chubb. Okay, his out there pick is from Peter Middleton. My out there pick is to say that Browning gets more sacks than Chubb. And I'm going to show this one just because Peter's stating this one as a fact. Browning is being moved to edge, Scott. You don't know that. There's chatter out there that he's going to get some time until it happens, it hasn't happened. So he might get some time at edge. I don't know that he's going to be moved from edge. You don't know that he's going to move from edge. All we know is there's people out there flapping their gums. Till it happens, until we see him lined up as edge and only playing edge on Sundays in September, we don't know anything except what they're telling us. And if you haven't learned anything from me, is don't believe what they tell you. They lie. They lie. And that's all part of it. Again, they're trying to set up their next move. All right, let me come through the chat here a little bit. EJ comes in. He says, "I like the idea of Barron Browning playing at edge. It offers the Broncos versatility at middle and outside linebacker, and Browning has a speed to get home on third downs." Again, think of that phrase that I mentioned earlier with the Chicago Bulls: "Release the Dobermans." I don't need three 300-pound guys on 3rd and 12, but I could use Randy Gregory, Bradley Chubb, and Barron Browning rushing the passer with one guy in the middle in case they think about running the ball up the middle on a draw play. It could be very interesting. Kareem Gomez with one of my question I like here. Kareem, welcome in. He says, "Who are some of your favorite under the radar draft prospects?" Well, we're on here enough that I'm not sure there are any more under the radar prospects because we talk about them so much. But that doesn't mean you've been in here before. But one of the guys that I love, we drafted him yesterday, was Christian Watson. And how under the radar is a guy that's 6'4", 205, 210 pounds, running 4.36 at the combine with 11.4 standing broad jump. And I liked him. I'm going to go ahead and bring up some of this video while I'm talking so we can have a little B-roll going here. I liked him, what I saw. And, we mentioned, Scott, what about Christian Watson? I said, if he's anywhere under 4'6", I love him with his size and his profile with his strong hands. The way he blocks is big for me. His size, his frame, his tenacity. I love it. Then he goes out there and has one of the best combines out there, 6'4". Now, when we do our PFN or Pro Football Focus drafts, I get a D+ for taking Christian Watson at 70. For a team that needs a wide receiver, I get a D+ for him. I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll see. I like my grade better than yours. I think this guy could sneak into the 40s, maybe even if someone really, really likes him back into the first. If he falls into the third, it is an absolute freaking steal if he goes that far. And this is a blocking play. I like seals the edge here, and that's also the one where that safety said, "Forget it. I am not tangling with Daniel Falele." Let's watch that one again because I pulled that one up as a Christian Watson and Falele highlight. But I like the way he seals here. I mean, I'll take that out of my wide receiver. A little crackback block, strong. So that's someone there for me. I'm a big fan of Christian Watson. If you have any other specific guys, it's kind of like asking me, "Hey, I'm going to the grocery store. What do you need?" I'm like, then I go blank. So yeah, if you have any questions on some individual prospects like that I've seen in the Combine or Senior Bowl, let me know. DLJM78, good afternoon from the UK. Good afternoon to you as well. Hopefully you can get my I'm going full on Chelsea right now because they need my support. So I'm a big fan of the West London based team, and they need my support. If you want an interesting read, just Google Chelsea news and think, oh my God, it's crazy. You think the NFL and stuff is crazy? It's the wild, wild west in their national football. And now the governments are coming in and taking over teams. It's crazy. So good afternoon. Good afternoon. Here we go. Let's come down here a little bit, slow down a little bit. So I know y'all have some, when it was just me and Nick talking, chat's going berserk. So there's 250 people in here. I know y'all have some questions. I know you do. So, Klis says, Watson reminds me of Vincent Jackson. That's a good shout. Definitely a good shout. Zebulon Omega, Kevin Lind. How long is Hackett's leash now that we have Wilson? Oh, that's a good question. That's a great question. Typically, you want to say 3 years. But with Russell Wilson, I would say 2. And it should be fine. But if you go out there and you're 9-8 next year and you're 7-10 in 2023, his seat's going to get real hot. I don't think anybody is expecting to do that. But this is a team, if you're bringing a guy in and you've got the roster and you've made this move with a win now guy, even though you've got Russell Wilson for maybe another 7-8 years, this is not a 7 or 8 year project. Not right now. This is we want to make a run at this thing. We think we're good enough to be a playoff contender right now. And if you're not, his seat's going to get real hot. So you need to be in the playoffs at least. It wouldn't be 1 year for sure. You go 9-8, miss the playoffs, he'll be back year 2. You go 8-9 the next year and miss the playoffs, his seat would get real hot just based on the expectations of this team and the resources that have been poured into it. Normally you get a 3 years, but usually when a new coach is coming in, he's coming in at a much lower floor than what the Broncos are expecting right now. So you get a little bit more time. This is a team that's ready to go win now. Michael coming in with almost has it right for the Liverpool. Try again. It's get rid of that first W, I think. You will never walk alone. So almost. But yeah, Liverpool. I respect Liverpool. Oh, there goes another good question from Antonio Jones. Does Pookie remind you of Jamal Anderson? Now, I'm assuming you mean the 1998 version of Jamal Anderson, who was nicknamed Fat, set a league record for about 420 carries in 1998, and was about this big around, and that was just his right thigh. So not really. Michael Turner, who y'all got to see a lot with maybe not a ton because LaDainian Tomlinson was there. Got to see with the Chargers, but Michael Turner was closer to Jamal Anderson, and I wouldn't necessarily say that is a good mix for me. You know who came to mind, and I might be totally off base here, and who's our Cincinnati guy that's in here? I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now. Can help me, but for some reason, Corey Dillon, a prime Corey Dillon is coming to mind as a comp with that size and that lean and that balance and that ability to break tackles. Corey Dillon is coming to mind for me right now. So good question. Luke, the cornerback right. Let me see. I don't have a ton of thoughts on him to the point that I don't know his first name. Oregon cornerback Veron McKinley. I don't know who that is, so I apologize. Who the cornerback is from right. So I don't have one right now. Apologies. Coming down so just a little bit. Monica coming in. Welcome in, Monica. Says, I want to discuss our backup quarterback. I mean, if Russ gets hurt, we need someone to keep us afloat. If Russ gets hurt, Hackett's leash got longer. So going back to the question we had just a moment ago about how long is the leash. If Russ gets hurt, you're in trouble. And frankly, that's kind of how it is for everybody else. Now, how hurt? Does he miss 3 weeks? Does he miss 4 weeks? And maybe I can get a guy that can eke out a win. Because right now, that guy's not on the roster. Josh Johnson, he wasn't brought in to play quarterback. That one's still a little strange to me when you still got Brett Rippon. Maybe he was. Then, there's something that everybody else has been missing over the last, 10 years. But that was a strange move for me. So backup quarterback, you get your backup quarterback once everybody's done with this quarterback shuffle and somebody gets cut for salary cap reasons. And you pick up somebody like Marcus Mariota, who just signed with the Falcons, by the way, just an example. Tyrod Taylor, maybe he saw that. We just got a guy, Tyrod Taylor gets cut. We're going to bring in Tyrod Taylor for $3 million as a backup. That's when you start going after your backup quarterback, is after everybody else gets settled and there ends up being some roster casualties. But yeah, I agree with you, Monica. The backup quarterback position needs to be addressed because there's a couple of number threes on there. You got a 1 and you got 2 3s. I don't know that I necessarily need a number 2. Hopefully you don't, and you don't necessarily want to spend a ton of money on it. But I kind of agree with you on that one. That might want to do a little bit more there. Let me check the Facebook chat over here. Looks like we're caught up on Super, so we can start going down through here. And I saw Ethan coming in with some support. Going back to Atlanta, and a free agent that I advocated for the Denver Broncos and Cordero Patterson. So what was the point of Atlanta signing Patterson? He would have looked good in Denver. Patterson would have looked good just about anywhere. I mean, the dude, I like to call it a megawatt smile. Not only does he have the talent, he's got the charisma that he's just fun. You just love watching this guy play. So what was the point of Atlanta signing Patterson? I don't know if you saw his tweet, but it said, F the money. This is where I wanted to be all along. So he signed at a pretty good discount. He got 2 years, $11 million. So he's on $5.5 a year, which is as he said, F the money. This is where I wanted to be. This is the only team that he has signed a second contract with. He felt loved. He felt used. He had his best season ever. And he showed some loyalty with it. Good on him for doing that. And frankly, after the Falcons struck out on Deshaun Watson, they announced within seconds, Cordell Patterson is agreeing to terms. And they just put out this morning, Cordell Patterson is signed. It's like, yeah, you're damn skippy that you better be sending out some good news right now. So, as he said, it wasn't necessarily about the money. He was more eloquent than me and wanted to be where he felt appreciated, loved, and was having fun playing football. Because when you bounce around with a team like that, with several teams like that, and you're trying to find your spot, when you find it, he felt like he was home. And I think that, and good for him. Good for him. I'm happy for him, and I'm looking forward to watching him play some more without having to, watch it on instant replay on the NFL Network. And my guy, Nick Kendall, has returned just in time for EJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nick,
EJ coming in.
On Cam Jurgens, center replacing Cushenberry.
Yeah, I told you it wouldn't take me very long. So just had to say hello, and I'm gonna have to. We can't dilly dally late here. I'll have to get going, but that's okay. I just had to say, hey, we're here. How you doing? Good to see you. Awesome. I gotta go talk some football. So EJ coming in. Scott, thoughts on Cam Jurgens, Nebraska? Daniel Jeremiah, who was a former scout for the Seahawks and the Ravens. Now he's kind of the new Mike Mayock for NFL Network, becoming the de facto talking head for the NFL draft. And he does a really good podcast with Bucky Brooks called Move the Sticks. He said that a bunch of people that he's spoken with, league connections, have Cam Jurgens as high as Tyler Linderbaum, and some teams have him rated higher than Tyler Linderbaum. Because Cam Jurgens, with Tyler Linderbaum, you have the crazy small wingspan, arm length. He's under 300 pounds, and he is very strictly an outside zone blocking center. He's a great one at that, but you've seen it with the Broncos, how quickly we've flopped back and forth between power and inside zone, outside zone. I mean, for 4 years, we've emphasized 3 different schemes. So with Tyler Linderbaum, there's a little bit of risk taking him, even if you run the outside zone right now, because of how much, like if you were, let's say, oh God, who's the coach on the hot seat? Rule with the Panthers right now, very much on the hot seat. They want to run outside zone this year. Is it the best investment to take an outside zone specific center when you might have a completely new scheme next year, and you're not going to change what you want to do for the new coaching hire for a center? You maybe do it for a quarterback, you maybe do it for some pass rushers or a cornerback, but you're not doing it for a center. So, and this is really hard for me to say. This is disparaging a guy like Tyler Linderbaum, who's an absolute dude. Absolutely incredible. He also donated a bunch of money to the Iowa Children's Hospital this last year as well, raised a bunch of money for that. So if you want a football guy with a very low bust potential, I think Tyler Linderbaum's still incredible. But Jurgens is really good. We took him in our mock yesterday at pick 116. I don't even know if he's going to be there at pick 64 based on what I've heard. So yeah, he's really, really talented. He would be a great replacement for Cushenberry. I'm not sure if the Broncos will be looking to take a center at pick 64, but if Jurgens is there, they might have to have a discussion about it.
And that's why it was good timing for him, because he knows Jurgens a hell of a lot better than I do. And Kareem coming in saying, what is one of your favorite combine memories? Now, this might be an urban legend, but I'm going to go ahead and repeat it as if it actually happened.
Yeah.
The story I heard, and this was before the combine used to be on lockdown. You had to have a couple people that with sources that would come in and do give you the results and stuff. It used to be on lockdown. So this isn't confirmed, but it would have been spring of 1989. Deion Sanders shows up, runs his 40. It was like 4.28 on that slow ass AstroTurf in Indianapolis. Turns to the scouts, bows, walks out the door. And he became the number 5 overall pick in one of the greatest drafts ever. Number 1 that year was Troy Aikman. Number 2, Tony Mandrich. Number 3, Barry Sanders. Number 4, Derek Thomas. Number 5, Deion Sanders. It made quite an impression on this 16-year-old kid in 1989. And 30 years later, here I am.
My favorite combine memory is seeing some big-time people in the NFL media very inebriated downtown Indianapolis. It's like, oh my, this is a different type of place. This is definitely taking down the curtain, the man behind the curtain as the NFL goes, and seeing a bunch of people. I mean, just being there to take in the combine, actually covering it. Other one was getting a chance to Eric will still give me a hard time about this one, but in the draft class, God, I can't remember what year it was. It was probably 2017. I thought Malik McDowell was an absolutely incredible talent. He was an absolutely incredible talent. I had a chance to talk with him a little bit one-on-one. And I kid you not, the guy's breath was the worst I've ever in my entire life. I'll never forget Malik McDowell's breath. And apparently, Eric, you can't. I guess we can't verify this, but he said that. Oh yeah, that's kind of a known thing. You getting some of the offensive linemen's player and they'd be like, man, buy a toothbrush. Like what the hell? So I can confirm Malik McDowell's breath not pleasant, which is too bad because
That's a weapon, when you're playing in the trenches, you use that as a weapon. So,
God.
the Jelly coming in with the super thank you for the support. My friend says that's on thoughts on Ohio State's Tyreek Smith and Haskell Garrett. Also, I love Sam Williams. And what do we think about Brandon Smith, Penn State? I'll work backwards on this one, and then I'll leave Tyreek for you. Sam Williams is a top 15 talent in this draft. I love him too. The off the field concerns. If he falls, it's because people have off the field concerns, and if he's got off the field concerns, he's probably not going to end up a Denver Bronco. If he doesn't, I wouldn't be mad if he went at 8 to the Falcons. The guy is a talent. He's an absolute talent. Haskell Garrett is. Let me see what he measured, because I got the impression at Senior Bowl that he was like one of these undersized, high motor, spark plug kind of dudes that would fall because he is a shorter, smaller, high motor kind of guy. So he was 6'1", 298, 507 with a 24-inch vertical. So nothing in there jumps off the spreadsheet saying, okay, this is going to be a high level guy. I think he'll be around 5, 6, 7 type of player.
Yep.
Maybe a practice squad guy that works his way up. Think DJ Jones. That's the absolute best case scenario for someone like Haskell Garrett, who is high motor, undersized, and doesn't have the measurables that make him a higher pick, and then just works his ass off. And 6 years later, he's making $10 million a year.
Yeah. We know historically Ohio State does a pretty good job with the defensive lineman, but yeah, Haskell Garrett's not a great tester. Didn't really pass or do that well on tape. His 10-yard split, and this is a fast track at Indy this year. I think it's an important caveat that we keep adding, but that we need to keep adding. But his 10-yard split was only 1.82 seconds, which is the 8th percentile. His 40-yard jump was the 5.07, which is 29th percentile on a fast track. And then his vertical leap, 24 inches, 2nd percentile. This is not an athlete. The measurables, sometimes his tape is good enough where you take a flyer on him late day 3, but not super early in my opinion. Tyreek Smith, I was less impressed with him than I was Zach Harrison on that Ohio State offensive line last season. Harrison's a little bit more longer, powerful, no bend, but man, he's got some vines. I could see him going round 4 though, because he's an edge rusher, and he should go higher than Jonathan Cooper did coming out. I really like Sam Williams as well. I remember watching when I watch players tape early, I don't get the full cut up, so I'll watch the whole game and try to key in on some players as well when I watch them. And Sam Williams was a dog when I went and watched Matt Corral early on. He does have a sexual battery case that was dropped against him that caused him to miss some time that teams are going to have to do background information on. That's just the reality of the situation. What is the truth of the matter? Teams that have millions of dollars that are doing background checks that would be equivalent to, giving somebody nuclear clearance. That's way more resources and need to know about those guys than what Scott and I have access to. So all we can say is this is out there. How much does it matter? What's the specifics behind it? Don't know. But you could see him fall all the way to day 3 with something like that, or he could go 40th overall pick kind of thing.
Sorry, Nick. If I'm about to invest 8 figures into somebody, $100,000 retainer on a PI firm is a pretty cheap investment.
Yeah. Yep.
When you think about it like that, why do they do this? That's why they're dropping $250 million in salary every year. Dropping $1 million on private investigators over your own investigative firm over the course of that year is a drop in the bucket.
Yep.
For making sure that you keep protect your investment, even if it's not Ray Donovan.
Yeah.
Shout out to the show. So,
and the last one here, Brandon Smith, incredible athlete. Dude just doesn't. We talked about earlier. Linebacker is an instincts position first and foremost. It's kind of like when you talk about quarterback. Yes, it's great to have a guy with a big arm and athleticism, but if he can't process and he's not accurate, I don't care about the other tools. Brandon Smith incredible athlete. The linebacker position right now is a little bit of an issue for him. I'm almost curious if he would be better playing as a slot/safety at this point with his athleticism and size, because he just has the closer you are to the action, the faster you have to process, and it's not great for him right now when I see it. So he's gonna make an impact on the NFL level just because that athleticism, that height, weight, speed, there's special teams value there for that. I mean, go run, go tackle the ball. That's fine, but his actual tape at linebacker left me a little bit wanting, out of position pretty often. If somebody takes him in the top 64, I would be thinking that's a little bit of a rich investment, even despite the athleticism. Again, linebacker athleticism, it's not as translatable as other positions. If you're not a great athlete, it limits you, no doubt. But first and foremost, processing instincts, keen on the run, et cetera, et cetera. You got to be able to do that, and tackling.
Peter coming back in and saying a new right tackle, should we be happy? Now, this is just a link. Nothing's happened officially unless it's happened this morning and I didn't see it.
Looking now.
But that was the Brandon Shell link. And again, it would be an upgrade. Can you do better than Brandon Shell moving forward? Maybe. So again, that's why you hold back on those resources of salary cap, draft picks, etc., and be patient. You don't have to have a team filled by OTAs. You could have your right tackle in August if that's the way it plays out. So be patient on that. And thanks for the stars, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be fine with Brandon Shell. I would rather, honestly, right now, maybe this is just me being biased, but when he's healthy, I think Riley Reif is a really good right tackle. Now, he has to pass a medical to come here, but Riley Reif on a 1-year deal, and if he's hurt, you turn to Tom Compton. I think that's a type of investment I'd be interested in. Also, something like with Riley Reif, given what the Broncos are going to be next year in the salary cap, if Riley Reif has a good season on a good offense, guess what? Somebody's going to pay him. And guess what happens when people pay your players to take them off your hands? You get back compensatory picks. That's something the Broncos should be looking to do because Peyton wants 10 per year. 2023 is going to be a little bit rough. Maybe you start to think about compensatory picks in 2024 as an avenue to give yourself more bullets. Just something to think about.
And Herb's question about, does anybody understand why we're trying to sign any of Russell Wilson's offensive linemen? Weren't they the pits last year? An offensive line is a unit, and they're really only as strong as their weakest link. I speak from experience. Nick and I have watched a lot of the Atlanta Falcons, and their offensive line as a unit was just god awful.
Yeah.
But Chris Lindstrom is really good at right guard. He's really good. But they had two guys that any one of each at left guard and right tackle will kill an offense. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. So I'm not going to condemn one player based on the unit, but that's not me saying, yes, Brandon Shell is better or yes, Brandon Shell is worse. Just saying that because the unit as a whole wasn't very good, I can't make any judgment on an individual player. Hope I said that fairly clearly.
Yeah, and I'm maybe a little bit partial to Brandon Shell too, because not as much as Riley Reif, because go Hawks. But Brandon Shell, he was featured heavily in my 2016 mock drafts because I thought he was a really good guy with athleticism in the link you want that can actually play the right tackle position. I think he went in the 5th round. I'll count that as a small win in my book back in 2016 because most 5th rounders, especially at the tackle position, are do nothings in the league. Maybe they make their way onto a practice squad, but I digress. DWI guys, Ethan coming in. Ethan, just when I thought the linebacker talk was over, we got it again with Barron Brown and maybe even moved to edge. We'll see what happens there. But Ethan, so interesting. Fred Johnson, right tackle, is being waived by the Bengals after Collins signing. Top 4 rated in run blocking last year, but pass blocking didn't sound like it's there. Either of you two know this player? I know that Fred Johnson was thought of highly enough that he was not starting over Isaiah Prince, who was beaten like a drum pretty regularly there at the right tackle spot. So I can't speak much to Fred Johnson. I think if he's being waived, that means that he's on a rookie contract still rather than being outright released. And that makes me think that he is actually not very good. I'm curious what the sample size is with the reps too. If he's that rated highly, I can't imagine it's a lot.
In 2021, according to Pro Football Focus, he had 90 snaps, graded well as a run blocker. I'm interested in his measurables: 6'7", 326 pounds, and he's just going to be 25 this year. Yeah. So you know what that screams to me? Practice squad.
Yep.
If you can pull that off. Let me see what his combine. He doesn't have any pro days in here on his page, so I'd have to Google that one, which is going to take me a little extra time. But that screams like a practice squad. I'd be real interested in 6'7", 25 years old, 325 pounds, if he can move a lick. He started 8 games in 3 seasons and played in 18, played in 23 over 3 years with the Bengals. Now, again, going back to after I just said this about what Herb was saying, why would we go after any of Russell Wilson's offensive linemen when they were trash? Man, if the Cincinnati Bengals are waving a 25-year-old tackle who is cheap, stay away.
Yeah, that's
They
a red flag.
needed help at tackle more than anybody. They needed help on the offensive line more than anybody.
Yeah.
To not even keep him around as a practice squad player, what's going on there? But again, I see 6'7", 325, 24 years old. I would definitely find out more. So good shout on that one, Ethan. Appreciate you.
And just reading about him, it sounds like most people projected him as a guard at the next level, coming out of Florida. Just quickly reading, and just the body type concerns you there for guard. Maybe that says somebody who is maybe not the foot speed or the change of direction ability you need at the tackle spot, but maybe a little bit too tall for the guard. Because if you're 6'7" on inside, you need to be extremely powerful and explosive at the point of attack. Otherwise, you're going to stalemate and lose eventually after that stalemate in the leverage battle. So we'll see there. We've got Eric Weber saying smart idea regarding the signing of right tackle Riley Reifnick. That's again, I don't know what his market's going to be like. He was injured last year with the Bengals, but when he has been healthy the last 2 years, he's been pretty good. There's some familiarity with him and Kubiak, Broncos quarterback coach, passing game coordinator, and he's an outside zone scheme. So if you can bring him in here for 1 year, $4 million, I think that's worth the dice roll. It is a dice roll given his medical history, but again, that's not one that's going to really, I think, hurt you very much, so to speak.
And Nick and Scott, how do you feel about tight end Jelani Woods, and what round could Denver get him? Jelani Woods was 6'7", 260 pounds, and I think he had the fastest 40 time at just a shade over 4.6 at the combine. So nice athleticism and a target that size with that height and length. What round could you get him? I mean, Nick would probably go into convulsions if you used a 3rd round pick on a tight end. But if you love this guy and he's, legitimately one of the best players, you could use another tight end for sure. Do you take a swing on him or a guy like Trey McBride?
If Trey McBride falls to 64, I think you have to at least consider it. I don't love it. I would prefer to wait and see what happens at 75. Jeremy Ruckert at 96 would interest me. The guy that's going to be featured heavily in my mock drafts, though, is I like Jelani Woods a lot, but he's very much a detached not a wide tight end. I'm not detached, but he's kind of an Albert Okwuegbunam-esque player. He transferred. I think he went to Oklahoma State first as a dual threat quarterback, then was moved to tight end, and then moved to Virginia Tech. Led the ACC in touchdown receptions last year. That's off the top of my head. Don't direct quote me on that one. And then tested like an absolute freak. So I would be interested. Get yourself athletes. I got no issue with that. That said, the guy who's probably going to be featured very heavily in my mocks, pretty consistently, is going to be Daniel Bellinger from San Diego State. He tested really well, and he is a really, really good blocking tight end as well. And I think that's important for the position. He's also a solid red zone threat. So Daniel Bellinger from San Diego State is a name to keep an eye on for me. That's the one I'm kind of vouching for right now.
Kathy Schmidt coming in from across the river, the pond, that little
just around the river bend.
So it doesn't matter what moves they make at right tackle. It can't be any worse than Juwan James as right tackle for the Broncos. Whenever I kind of see a comment like this, I always think of Inception and Tom Hardy whipping out the rocket launcher. It says, you mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling. It's like, just because you want to do better than that. You do. Yes, it's an improvement. A Falcons fan said something about Malik Reed. Okay, this guy is a possibility. And I said, well, and I went through the negatives on this. And one of the comments was, so he's an upgrade for us. I'm like, yes, he is. But you mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger to try and upgrade a little bit more. So, but yeah, that I feel bad for Juwan. I mean, he's once he blew all his money, he got paid more than I'll ever see.
Yeah.
So he's earned, but man, he to have your contract voided like that for an offseason injury is really, really unfortunate for him. But yeah, it was a blessing for building the Broncos.
Yeah, absolutely. And circling back to our main point here earlier, since we're at an hour and I can't stick around very long, Broncos potentially moving Barron Brown into some more edge reps. He's a freak athlete, jumps out of the gym. A lot of people, myself included, said, hey, if you're playing, premium price versus the bargain bin, Micah Parsons at pick 9 versus Barron Browning round 3. Barron Browning, you might be able to get a little bit of usage, what you get with Micah Parsons. Now, Micah Parsons is a much more violent and explosive player, but Barron Browning, as far as the base package off-ball alignment for that inside spot for the linebacker, and then maybe moving to edge in sub-packages, definitely valuable. The Rams played the highest rate of one linebacker defenses in the NFL the last 2 seasons, so you're not going to be playing linebackers probably very high. Now, some of that is probably due to having an explosive offense. Some of that is probably due to having a guy named Aaron Donald. Yes, Urban Meyer. There's somebody named Aaron Donald in the NFL. Did you see that?
Come on.
Crazy.
I
I don't know who
guarantee you
99
he
is.
had an offer from wherever Urban Meyer was coaching when Aaron Donald was in high school. I promise you, it was either Florida or Ohio State, and he had an offer because he just would blanket offer the 5-star guys, and Aaron Donald was a 5-star guy out of Pittsburgh.
Get Pitt.
Silliness.
Silliness.
Not that I think much. I haven't thought much. Urban Meyer went down there his first year at Florida, and you've heard me say, Nick, before, I don't mind an ass. I can't stand a hypocrite. And his holier than thou, we're going to do it better, cleaner, and than you, just drove me nuts from day one at Florida, and it came out in the wash. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's a little bit annoying. But man, what a clown show. The last thing here that I was getting to though was, and we have a comment here from right here. Cleat of the T. The last thing we didn't mention here is I just keep getting told that people I talk to that have connections in the building, and a few that I talk to that are in the building, that don't sleep on Jonas Griffith. He is really. Why would you? But he is really well liked in that room. So part of this could be moving Barron and Browning around. Could be also lighting a fire into Browning. Kind of cross train yourself, get yourself on the field. But I think they want to empower Jonas Griffith as well. He played kind of sparingly down the stretch last season, but some of his reps at linebacker were some of the best the Broncos had last season. He's a absolute freak from Indiana State, same school as Larry Bird, the Sycamores. So keep an eye out for Jonas Griffith as well. We talked about moving Browning and Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell and Bobby Wagner, but there are people in that in the Valley that really, really like Jonas Griffith. So keep his name in mind.
Yeah, I was just looking up his pro day stuff. So he had a 36-inch verse, 10.7 broad, 4.6, 240, and he was what, 6'4", 250 pounds.
Yeah,
if I'm gonna miss, I want to miss on that guy. Yep. So coming out of Indiana State, the schemes are going to be different. The speed of the game is going to be faster. It might take him a little bit more time to catch up, but once he does, you got a 6'4", 250, 260-pound inside linebacker who can run a 4.6 and jump over the center. Yes, please. I'll take that. So I loved what I saw from him. Again, it doesn't always have to be the read and reaction is going to be tough. You heard me say earlier today, the anticipation is worth a 1/10 of a second on the 40. He might be behind on that. When that catches up, you got a 6'4", 260-pound inside linebacker who can do all of those great things. So I'm a big fan of the upside of Jonas Griffith.
Yeah, don't sleep on him. Do not sleep on him. All right, guys. Well, I got to get on out of here. Appreciate everybody. We will see you on Scott's channel tomorrow morning. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. I am at Nick Kendall MHH, and Scott is at Scout Kennedy. Also follow us at Huddle Up Pod, as well as at Mile High Huddle. If you guys haven't done so yet, make sure you go to Facebook and follow us at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. YouTube folks, please like, subscribe, and share. Got a little bit slow out of the tracks today, or out of the station, but then it really picked up. 268 people here. Please do us a big favor. Click the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching these shows. Also, head to Apple, iTunes, find Huddle Up, the Huddle Up podcast, the Huddle Up show. Scroll down, leave us a 5-star rating and a review. It does us a heck of a lot of good. And make sure you're following us. Scott, your banner, for some reason, I think Chad took it off of here, but make sure you're going to youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy, where we will be
in the chat. That'll show him.
Yeah, I don't see it on here anymore.
You must have tagged me in something because I've got 18 notifications on that page.
I do not know.
It's like, that's a normal day for me. Not for me. I don't get mentioned that often. Make sure you're if you want to come join Nick and I tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern, 7 Mountain. I just put the link in the chat to my YouTube page. If you haven't already been there, most of y'all probably already have, and I thank you for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, thank you, Scott, for holding down the fort a little bit. We'll see you tonight on Building the Broncos with Carl. Hopefully, we'll have. I mean, Carl and I have just been getting lucky with all the big news breaking, so maybe we'll get something today as well that we can talk about. But either way, we're gonna have fun. Make sure you guys are joining us tonight. Appreciate everyone for joining us. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Choose kindness. Choose compassion. Go Broncos.